Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back. We are almost done with HTML. We just got a few more things to discuss, and one of them being layouts of HTML and the other one being comments. So without further ado, let's just dig right in. Alrighty, so let's start with going over what comments are. Now, HTML comments are there to help you to document your HTML document. I hope it makes sense to you. Comments are not going to be displayed by the browser. They're just there to help you out, distinguish different things. So, this is an ordered list of 3 items. Okay. It would be really good if we can have this text not printed in our browser. If we reload the page, yeah, it's there. But we just want to know what this is. So how do we type comments in HTML? Well, we open up our HTML tag, right? Exclamation mark, 2 dashes, and then we have to close the tag as well. 2 dashes, closing tag. Okay, this is it. Now, if we reload the page, the text is not going to display there, but we still have our explanation here. And you can have this in, separate lines, something like this. I see a lot of people do it like this, and this is really nice way to do comments for, let's say, different sections. But if you have an inline comment, first item, then I'm just going to speed this up. You can do it like this as well, okay? And if we reload the page, these comments are not displaying. And this is really important because let's say you work in a company that has like 20 different developers working on one project. And let's say you're responsible for making a registration form. And you have done it and it's completely out of the box. It's something weird, it's something cool, it's the best registration form ever. But then you hand over the code for implementation, and the other guy who is supposed to do that says, "What the heck is this? I have never seen syntax like that. What is that?" So this is where the comments come in handy, so other people can understand what you did there, and this is really important with programming. And last but not least, we have layouts. Now, what are HTML layouts? Well, the most basic layout of things in HTML is to form them and put them into their own respective areas. Okay, so let's say we want to have a header area. Now, how do we do this? Well, there is something called div tag, like division tag. And just imagine things like this. You have header, right? And we want to keep everything that's supposed to be in the header inside a header, okay? We don't want them to be anywhere else on the page. So we can have a div, and now, this is the cool part. We can give this div an ID, or we can give it a class, or we can give it both ID and a class. Now, what is important? ID and classes, they're called by CSS or JavaScript later on. And they do different things with it. That's the way you can select elements, okay? Let's say we want to give this this div, an ID of header, okay? And we're gonna give it a class of header as well. But the important thing is that each element can have only one ID, and it can have multiple classes. Okay, let's say this class can have a class of header and top nav. Doesn't make sense, but let's say something like this. Yeah, we can include multiple classes, but only one header, one ID, and this is really important. And that's just, imagine you have a shoebox, and you want to put all your shoes in the respective shoebox. Okay, but what if you have different types of shoes? Let's say you have running sneakers, or you have formal shoes, So the way to do that would be to have 2 different boxes, 2 different shoe boxes, right? And putting running sneakers in one and your formal shoes in the other. And this is exactly the same thing. Okay, we create a div, we give it an ID or class, and then we put everything related to that inside it. This is totally up to you. You can name them whatever you want, but I would advise you guys to use English. I know I'm from Serbia, and I know a lot of Italians, a lot of Polish people, a lot of Ukrainians, a lot of people from all around the world, and they would sometimes create an ID and call it or something in between, and I have no clue what this is if I'm just English speaker, right? So common principle is to just name it English names. This is like super important. And then let's make a comment of it. Let's call it header area. Okay. Now let me just... Okay, so what I did here is, well, this is the core principle of coding. You're gonna have an HTML comment pretty much when you start an area and when you end it. Okay, this is, or maybe you can put it here, this is what I like to do. So this is, so you know, and everybody else, this is where the header area starts. You can even type in that to make it even more clear what's going on here. So header area start, header area end, and everything in between is going to be contained inside a div that's going to have ID of header and whatever class we want to add up to it, and it's gonna have a content. And one more thing I want to mention is that since HTML5, we don't need to call header div header. I know it sounds weird, but we can just call it header. You know, we can give it still ID of header if we need to call it somewhere like that, but it can just be a header. I hope it makes sense. And let me just paste this in, okay? And I'm gonna start explaining. This is a way in the HTML where you can call different areas of the website by their name, okay? So we can have a header, a footer of a website, navigation where the navigation bar with links is going to come in, different sections of the document. Well, maybe you're gonna have a post is going to be contained inside article. Then a side is what goes in the sidebar pretty much. Details, summary, and this is pretty much what you can do with HTML5. And this is really cool. This gives you a bit more semantic approach to coding. Before this, we had to call everything div with ID of header, then div with ID of nav, then div with ID of, I don't know, section is pretty much replacing divs. So yeah, you can give div or you can do section. It's not really too important. Well, it is, but you know, you can do whatever you want. Then article, we could have had div with ID of article or class of article because it's usually going to be repetitive, and so on and so forth. Div with ID of, you know, sidebar. But since HTML5 introduction, we don't need to do these things anymore. Okay, you can just call them by their name. This is pretty cool, right? Well, now you're gonna wonder why I turned on my camera. Well, congratulations, you have done it. This was pretty much everything you need to know regarding HTML. There is, of course, a lot more to cover, and I would suggest you guys to go visit w3schools.com and just go through HTML, read stuff. There is a lot more, but this is everything a beginner needs to know. Now, in the next lesson, we're actually going to build a website. Now, what we have on our project right now doesn't make sense, right? It's just thrown in things regarding different elements and different things I was explaining in this lesson. But we're going to clean it up, and in the next lesson we're gonna make a website that's actually gonna make sense. It's gonna have navigation, it's gonna have different elements, and yeah, one more time, congratulations, and I'll see you in the next lesson where we're going to really wrap up the HTML tutorials, and we're going soon into the worlds of CSS and styling. Okay, thank you very much for following me through, and thanks for sharing your journey with me on learning HTML and learning the basics of web development. If you like the videos, please hit the like button. If you think you can learn more from me, then subscribe. And I am uploading videos daily, as you can see. And follow me on Twitter. And thank you very much. Okay, I'll see you very soon. Ciao!